Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be working with the Glimmer of the Month from Spellbinders for February. And this month we're getting a lot of sentiments that are really all occasion. You can use them all year long. They vary in size, so some of them actually are large enough to make for pretty good focal points on your card, excuse me. And they come in a variety of different fonts too, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm going to first start off by just laying out some foam. Or foil, sorry. I like to use my Weir memory keepers. This is a small cutting mat with magnetic ruler. They're sold together, so it's kind of perfect because that magnetic ruler is pretty hefty, and because it's magnetic, it'll do a good job of holding down the foil as I cut it. And I am foiling onto Hammermill 100-pound super smooth paper. This is the paper that I've had the best results with, but I have also foiled onto colored cardstock as well with pretty good success. So I think the key is once you determine whether or not you need extra paper shims just so that you can get the pressure exactly right, I think you can pretty well adjust for different paper weights and really foil onto anything. But I think the key is to figure out with your machine and plate combination what is the most ideal sandwich. So to my left, I have the Glimmer machine turned on. So on the back where you can't see, there's a rocker switch. So when you flip that switch, the red light will turn on and that'll show that the machine is actually on and generating heat. When the second light turns green, then you know the machine has warmed up and is ready to start foiling. So that's when you can start to put down your foil plates and projects. And in the meantime, I like to just prep as many projects to foil as I think I need, and then I throw in a couple more just just so that I have plenty to choose from. And I actually like to just cut to foil onto panels that are actually already cut to US A2 size, and I like to leave a generous amount of cardstock around my foiled image so that if I want to let's say use an oval die or a shape die or a badge die to die cut out that sentiment, I'll hopefully have enough space surrounding the sentiment to have that be an option, especially for these sentiments. Sometimes Glimmer plates also include coordinating dies, but that's not the case with these ones, and these are sort of larger. They're not your sentiment strip kind of Glimmer plates, and so I knew in advance that I might want to use some of these as a focal image, and so I wanted to give myself lots of options without having to really decide on the design of my card up front. I like to just do all of my glimmering while the machine is on and it's hot, and I think it's a little bit more efficient that way. But if you're like me and you don't plan everything out in advance, you kind of have to give yourself as much wiggle room and as many options as possible. And so when that second light is green, as you can see it here, what you want to do is put your foil plate with the flat side down on the sort of gray area of your Glimmer machine, and your foil should be pretty side that should be touching the foil plate, and the silver side should be touching your cardstock. And then you would want to layer your cardstock on there, and then the 2 Glimmer plates that come with the machine, as well as any additional cardstock shims that you think you might need. So sometimes I need a cardstock shim even with my 100-pound cardstock. But for these plates, I didn't actually need it. I tried it initially and I got a little bit of overfoiling, so I adjusted to remove that shim. But when I foil onto this black, I do add a piece of cardstock shim because my black cardstock is only 80 pound. So that's a little bit thinner than the white cardstock that I'm foiling onto. And that's what I mean by sort of adjusting your shims so that you have enough pressure. And you can see, when you get your results, whether you need less pressure or more, just based on whether you have overfoiling or underfoiling. So here I've used one of the Glimmer plates that says happy birthday, and I just dry embossed with it onto this panel. So, that is always an option, is to use your Glimmer plates as sort of debossing, because it does push into your card. So that's more of a deboss than an emboss. But it was super easy to do. It took some time because I wanted to fill the entire USA2 panel. And so I had to do the embossing multiple times. It actually took 3 embossing passes for each row, and I don't know how many rows I ended up with. But my tip would be, because the Glimmer plates or the hot foil plates are thicker, I think, than a die is. And so just like you would be able to dry emboss with dies, you can do that with the Glimmer plates, but because the Glimmer plates are a little bit thicker, I would spritz your cardstock before embossing. I felt like I had a better emboss because it didn't crack as much, since the paper was softened by the water. So that would be my tip, because when I dry embossed without spritzing with water, I got a lot of cracking on my cardstock, which is 100 pound. So that's just another way of using your Glimmer plates if you want. And I have that panel all cut down, and I've got a piece of gold pearlescent paper that I've just gutted out the center of, since so much of it's going to get covered. But I did fill that center back in with just plain white cardstock. That way my card front is nice and level. I don't have any sort of saggy areas in that center. And I didn't actually get too much warping with my debossed panel, but I'm still going to line it with some of my low profile foam here. This is 1 millimeter high or 1 millimeter thick, which I think is great. It just is enough to add a little bit of dimension, and will still be an easy mailer. So I don't think this is going to be so much thickness that it's going to cost extra to ship. And the other reason why I really like using this thinner foam is because if you wanted to add maybe 2-3 levels of foam, you're not going to end up with something super thick. So I can actually add 2 to 3 layers of this foam, and it would be equivalent to the standard foam that I use that I used to use all the time, but now only use for shaker cards. And so that's another nice aspect about it, because then I could lift that panel on some foam, and if I wanted, I could lift this panel up on some foam too, and it's still relatively thin card. So here I've got I did use a nested rectangle die set from Spellbinders to die cut out this sentiment, and it doesn't have a matte layer with a thin border like this, so I just die cut from the out of the gold pearlescent paper that came out of the center of what I gutted from my larger panel, and I just shifted the die a little bit so that I can cut off an exact size panel to match or to matte behind my sentiment, and still have that nice professional die cut edge. So I'll finish this off with some glitter enamel dots, and that's basically going to be my card. I'll leave links to everything in the description box below. The Glimmer of the Month is really, really fun. Lots of really awesome, very usable sentiments that you can use all year long. And of course, if you are interested in more than one club kit, then there are value clubs that you can also check out, because you'll get a little bit of a discount when you buy them as a bundle like that. I hope you liked today's card, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!